What up guys, Lika here. Today, I'm stoked today because today I'm going to take you through a really great derivatives and options exchange called Deribit, D-E-R-I-B-I-T, derivatives, Bitcoin, Deribit. I'm excited because I had a chance to meet these guys a couple months ago in Amsterdam. They are Dutch, and I knew about Deribit for a couple years, and they were cool, but they didn't have a ton of liquidity. But that is changing, and it's changing really quickly. Have a look here. Deribit has been climbing steadily the ranks of exchanges by volume. They're ahead of Bitflyer now. So yeah, and the reason why they're gaining so much ground is because they've launched this really great new product. This is what you probably heard about. They've got a perpetual swap contract with up to 50 times leverage, direct competitor to BitMEX. They say so themselves, and it's really gaining liquidity. It's a great product. We're going to talk about it in depth. They also have these other futures contracts. This one I believe expires every week. This one is going to expire August 31st. This one expires September 28th. This one just expires December 28th. If you're going to use Deribit, I hope that you'll use the affiliate link in the description. It does help us make these videos going forward, but it also will allow you to save 10% off your trading fees for 6 months. So very similar to BitMEX. So use the link in the description, set up your account, and as soon as you have your account set up, I would highly recommend you go to the security tab, make sure 2FA is enabled just like anywhere else. You don't want to lose your coins to something stupid. Yeah, Deribit, really clean interface. I love it. It's pure HTML with really tight icons and everything. I don't want to see a really confusing order screen, so you've got that. If you also look on their left tab here, they've got this blog section. If you pop that open, you get this really clean sort of news announcements by Deribit, and we're going to talk about the perpetual swaps contract because it's just killer. I'm really happy with it. Blazing fast execution, truth. It's been unbelievably fast and quick. We're going to look at it. Continuous pricing. So this is probably the coolest thing about this perpetual swap, and really innovative on Deribit's part. So what they've done is, as you know, on BitMEX, every 8 hours there's a funding fee that happens for you to hold your position, and it often creates like these weird sort of funding pumps. People will jump in right before the funding period to get that discount or get that fee, and vice versa. So what Deribit does is that they have a continuous fee that's being transferred to the other side at all times. So really tiny amounts, obviously, but it's really innovative, and I think it's great. They've also got a really fair liquidation model, which you can check out if you go to their fees page. They explain how the liquidation works. You can check it out. They've got an insurance fund just like others. The fees on Deribit, they're going to be on the perpetual contracts here. They're going to be the same as BitMEX. You've got that maker rebate of a 1/4 point, and the taker fees 3/4 of a point. The futures have really great fees here too. You can see 0.2, 0.5. Okay, so to get started using Deribit, you're obviously going to need to make a deposit. They only accept Bitcoin, of course. You can click here to get a new deposit address. The minimum is 0.001 BTC, and it's going to register in your account after 1 confirmation, so just a few minutes. Right, there's one more important thing I'm gonna suggest you do before we get started, and that is to set up a sub account. So if you go on the side here, you click sub accounts. Okay, so the reason why you want to set up a sub account is to use isolated margin, which what you're familiar with on BitMEX, cross, which would use all of your accounts equity versus isolated. So the reason why you do that is because you want to basically limit your loss. It's money management. So I would make a sub account and just put in a small amount, or let's say what you're willing to lose into that account. So we'll just add a new sub account. It's been created. So here it is here. I'm going to change the name of it to, I've got one called long. Let's make one called short. And there it is. So in order for me to use the account, I need to transfer something to it. So click the transfer tab, grab this. We're going to transfer it. Well, let's do the short account since that's the one I just created. And let's just transfer 02. Got to quickly verify this on my phone. All right, so the transfer to the short account has been done. It's complete. Okay, so now that we've done that, we have to switch back to the Subaccounts tab. You can see the balance 02 that we just transferred. Let's switch to the short account. All right, so up in here at Subaccount, it shows that we are now logged into the short account. That's great. So now what we've done is we've isolated it. We can only lose this amount, leaving this little bit of dust here in my main account. And so that's just money management. And you're really going to want to do that, guys. Like if you're going to be trading here, you do have the ability to lose everything. So make sure you manage your risks appropriately. All right, guys. So yeah, before we go any further, initiate the dark theme. Look at this gorgeous UI with the dark theme. I should have had this set earlier, but okay, let's go. With this video, we're just going to look at the futures. So click the futures tab. You can see the perpetual swap here, the other contracts and their expiry date, typical order book, bid side green, ask side red. You can adjust the order block like so. So an order block of within 5 to within 10. Great feature number one. Absolutely must have a feature like this with every exchange. If I click here, it's going to fill in the price for me. I mean, it's so simple, but just absolutely essential. Over to the right, we've got the recent trades pane. Down here, we'll show your position. When you're in a position, it'll show it. It'll also show in these tabs the open orders, your stops, your order history, and your trade history. So I mean, if you guys are familiar with BitMEX at all, you're just going to be completely at home here. I'll just draw your attention to something important. Down at the bottom here, you're going to see the price from 6 different exchanges: Bitfinex, Bitstamp, GDEX, Gemini, Itbit, and Kraken. And what that is that's going to make up the index price that's used to calculate the funding fee you will either have to pay or you will receive just by keeping a position open. All right, let me just show you quickly how the funding works. It's not that complicated. Basically, either longs pay shorts or shorts pay longs. If the mark price is above the index price, so the price of the perpetual is above the index, then longs are going to pay shorts because there's a premium on the price. If it's reversed and the index price is above the mark price, that means shorts are going to pay longs because there's a discount on the price. So you can see the funding rate here, and it's constantly changing, and it's going to constantly come out of your P&L. But you can see it's very unlike BitMEX. It's a different model, and I think it's really ingenious and interesting on Deribit's part. I'm sure that other exchanges are taking note of their approach to the funding. All right, now that we've gotten that all out of the way, let's take a look at the order page, which is really well laid out. I really like it. You'll notice there's a little calculator here where you can calculate exactly what your profit and loss P&L will be on taking your long or short positions. Really handy. Within the order book here, you'll notice that you can either denominate it in contracts, and unlike BitMEX, which is $1 per contract, on Deribit it's $10 per contract. So keep that in mind. You can also denominate everything in Bitcoin, which isn't bad. That's kind of nice to do because that's what's in your account. So before I get too ahead of myself, just to point out again, this is the last traded price here. So that's going to be the perpetual's price. The mark price is here, and the index price is here, so right in the middle of the book like that. Oh yeah, I like to make this adjustment. If you click the futures charts tab, you'll get this trading view chart, so it's a little easier to pick your spots this way. Okay, so let's take a look down at the order pane here. I really like how they've got this laid out. So you've got your 3 order types here: limit, stop limit, and market. Market order is going to execute an order immediately against the books at the last ask price. So with a market order, you're going to get your order filled right away. Like maybe in a FOMO situation, you'll need to place a market order, but you're going to always pay the taker fee. You're going to always pay that taker fee 0.075%. Whereas with a limit order, you have the opportunity to get that market maker fee 0.025% paid to you for providing liquidity to the market. So in a long situation, you want to get that maker fee, you're going to always need to place an order below the last price. If you were going short, you're going to need to always place an order above the last price. So that's how you get that, ensure to get that maker fee. If you look down here, you have this time and force rules. You've got the default good till cancel. This essentially allows you to have partial fill. So you're going for 10 contracts, you might only get 5 contracts, and the rest of the orders will stay on the book until filled. That brings us to fill or kill. Execute the order immediately or not at all. So if it doesn't get filled, then it will not execute. And IOC, immediate or cancel, that'll place your order, and any portion of the order that can't be filled will be canceled. So that's like if you get filled for 5, the other 5 will be canceled off the books. So that's how those work. If you have a look down here, you got the posts only button. So that will always ensure that you get that maker fee, and if it's going to match against the book, it'll just cancel it. So you're going to always assure you that you're going to get the maker fee. I'm just going to leave it off here because sometimes I want to place an order above the price to immediately get it or whatever. Hidden does what you think it should do. It hides the order on the book. You're going to always pay the taker fee in this case, and there's also a small fee. I'm not exactly sure how it works. I couldn't find any reference to it, but I believe there's a tiny fee as well. All right, so fast forward a few hours here, and we have gotten a bit of a dip on Bitcoin, so I'm going to try and make a bid and catch it. Okay, I've denominated my account into BTC. I'll do an example of a leverage position. So we've only got 0.02 BTC in this account, but let's make a 3x position would be 0.06, which is 3 times that. It's going to denominate the equivalent amount of contracts, which is 40, and it's going to put it in there. And let's set a price. I think there's a decent chance we'll get a pullback to 67.17. So if I click on that price, there's our price. This is the margin requirement for this position. You can see here. Good till cancel set. Everything looks good. Geez, I don't know if we'll get that spot, but let's go ahead and try. It shows the bid price, margin requirement, and the total of BTC we'll be purchasing. Click buy. Order has been submitted. You can see at the top. If you scroll down now, you'll see under the open orders tab our order at 67.17. None of it's filled. All right, so while we're waiting for the price to come down, I'll just point out a couple things with the order book here. You can break it down into increments of 5, 10, 100. Let's just keep it on 1. You can see our order here at 67.17. But what I like is that you can see the amount, the size of the amount of Bitcoin at these price levels, okay? And you can see the cumulative total of those asks in this case, or bids in this case. You can see how they accumulate, and you can see sort of where the walls of Bitcoin are, where the orders bulk up. It can help you in placing your orders. But yeah, the only thing that I would suggest to Deribit is, like, you know, you've already got these values with the sizes. I just love seeing the walls visually represented, like with some HTML on this side. You know, I love that, but it's just a minor detail. I mean, this is a classic order book view, so you should be very used to it. You can see there's a bit of a wall here at 67.18. Just to speed this up, I'm going to move my bid up to 67.1850. So hopefully I'm a bit front running this wall a bit. So let's edit 67.18.50. Let's do that. It's been edited 67.18.5, and you can see that it's moved up here. I think there's a good chance that this order is going to get filled. There we go. We've just been filled. If I go to my order history, I see the order at 67.1850, and I've been paid the fee. You can see the negative value here. It means I've been paid the fee, the 0.025%, which is fantastic. This is what we want. Okay, great. So we've opened our position. Now, if you scroll down to the positions tab, you're going to see all the pertinent information in your position, the size, 40 contracts, 40 times 10, $400, right? This is your full position size. The average price, 67.18.5. The most important piece of data is your liquidation price. If the price gets to 5086.04, if the mark price gets to there, you will be liquidated. The entire position will be gone. It'll be turned to zero. Remember, in order to trade with leverage, it's a little outside of the scope of this video, but go to under documentation futures, and they explain exactly how the initial margin and the maintenance margin work. Please read and understand that. And the rest of the tab, you can see your profit and loss on this position and your session P&L over here, and the initial margin and the maintenance margin. And that's your position tab. The other thing I'll quickly point out is the funding rate, that all important funding rate. So it's negative 0.43%. That means that we're actually going to get paid for being long with this position constantly. So that's how that works. You can also see the open interest here of the entire contract. The open interest of this entire contract is 7.1 million. So that's 710,000 contracts. Okay, great. So we know how to place our limit orders to intelligently get that maker rebate every time. Okay, let's look at something else that's really important, and that's placing a stop limit or a stop order. And that's essentially a risk management tool to say that if the price gets to a certain point, get me out. So on the stop limit order, you're going to want the trigger to be the mark price rather than the index price. The stop price is the point at which this order is going to trigger. So let's say if it gets below this point, 67.10, to trigger the order, and this is the amount of Bitcoin. That was our full position size, and the actual price that it's going to place on the order book is going to be the price field. So at 67.10, place an order on the order book at 67.08, and what that's going to do once again is it's going to allow an order to rest into the order book, and we're going to get that maker fee. So it's intelligently placing your stop just above. Put the stop price, in this case of a long, put the stop price just above the actual price that's going to appear on the book. So this is the trigger price. This is the actual price. And let's go ahead. Good till kill. Obviously, in the case of placing a stop order, instead of buy, you're going to click sell, right? So let's go ahead and do that now. They review the order with you at 67.10. The stop price, your price is going to be placed in the order book 67.08. Let's do that. It's been placed. Let's go down here to stops, and you can see that your stop price at 67.10 is going to trigger your actual sell price of 67.08. And of course you can edit that just like any other order. So that's how to manage your risk, place a stop order. Right guys, especially if you're just getting started out with crypto trading, I would personally recommend that you always specify a stop limit on every single trade. And it's just to ensure that you don't get liquidated on like a really large abnormal down move or a down wick or just one candle. And it happens often. So I would get into the habit of always placing a stop, but where that stop is up to you. So most traders are comfortable with around 2%, maybe as high as 3% of every trade. So whatever you're comfortable quote unquote losing to stay whole, then that's the value that you should use. Okay, so we know how to buy. How do we sell? It's really just the reverse of what we did. So let's take a look at our chart here. Let's say if the price gets to 6,800, that we want out of the position. So on our limit tab here, we'll go back to BTC. Let's say if the price goes to 6,800 to take us out of the position, it's really just that easy. As long as you're placing your limit order above the current price, it won't trigger until it reaches that price. So let's go ahead and place a sell above us. Order type limit 6,800, position size, and the order has been placed. If we go down to open orders, we will see our sell there at 6,800. None of it's been completed. We can of course edit it with the edit button. So now our position is ready to take us out of the position. We don't have to do anything to sell. It'll automatically sell once it reaches that price. Right, okay, so I showed you the Perpetual Swap, which is a futures product that runs in perpetuity without an expiry date. It's always going, but I didn't show you these other contracts that Deribit has. So these ones do not carry the funding fee like the Perps does. So these ones might be better to hold if you're looking to hold a position for like a length of time, like a week or two or a month or even longer. So this one I believe is a monthly contract. So this one has an expiry date every 30 days. This one's actually going to expire in 3 days. Shows you the open interest is just under 600 BTC. And it also shows you that there's a bit of a discount. They're trading around 10% under the index. It's an annualized calculation, so it's not exactly 10%, but it'll give you an idea of whether something's a bargain or not. Now this one here is 90-day contract, and this one here is, I believe, a 6-month contract or 180-day contract. So those are the other futures products that you have on Deribit. Right, guys, before I wrap up, I'll just go over a few of the pros and cons of Deribit. First of all, I really like the platform. I've been using them for weeks now. Top of the list for pros, they're a viable alternative to BitMEX. I mean, BitMEX has the biggest, most liquid perpetual swap on earth, and Deribit is really giving them a run for their money, and I love that. I think that's great to have some competition. They've got a sweet minimalist interface, which I love. They've got killer fees, on par with BitMEX, which is great. And probably the best thing, I mean, if you've ever used BitMEX during times of extreme volatility in Bitcoin, you know about the no connection error. I've been using Deribit for weeks through some of those periods where BitMEX was down or having problems accepting orders, and I didn't have those problems with Deribit. And Deribit also has been claiming publicly that they can handle the load of even a lot of users like BitMEX has. So that sounds really great. They've got this progressive funding structure, which we went over in the video. I think that's really forward looking with Deribit and really cool. They've got the intelligent liquidation engine, which I think you should check out in their documentation. It's a different approach to liquidation. They don't completely liquidate your account, but they liquidate you in tranches. Like, I think if you have 10 Bitcoin in your trade, they will liquidate you 1 Bitcoin at a time, but you have to check that on the documentation. So Deribit's growing very fast. Their liquidity problems will probably be a thing of the past right away. I mean, I've watched their Perpetual Swap product grow really quickly. Also, they have mobile apps for iOS and Android. If you take a look under their documentation under mobile apps, you can see that they've got mobile apps for iOS and Android. That's really great. Okay guys, moving on to the con side, and really honestly, I really like the platform. Deribit's platform is wonderful, but if I did have any cons, they would mostly be suggestions for the guys at Deribit. So I would say maybe some more visual enhancements on the UI front would be really nice to have. For instance, we really love to see on the chart to show our limit orders, our stop orders, and our P&L line. We love to see that on the chart, so I hope that that's coming at some point. We've been spoiled with that with the other exchanges. I also really like to see on the order book sort of a visual representation of the bid and ask vols, or the amount of coins at each level, so that you can kind of get a visual idea of where the support and resistance is. So that would really be nice. Not necessary, but nice. I also heard that the guys at Deribit are going to remove the need for sub-accounts for your cross and isolated margin positions. So that's coming, and that's great. We could also think about more order types. A trailing stop is really nice to have. So I heard that that's coming too. So that's something that's down in the pipe. Maybe add some more coins, but to be honest, I have a feeling that Deribit is only going to focus on Bitcoin, and I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Bitcoin is king, so I mean, maybe that's just the direction that they're going to go, but who knows. So yeah, those are just a list of my pros and cons. Obviously, I'm overjoyed with Deribit, so I didn't have a lot of negative things to say, but those are some suggestions going forward. And yes, guys, I am aware that Deribit has a really unique and well-known BTC options product within their ecosystem, and I do want to do a whole video just on that, but I need to kind of get my head around it a little bit more. It's deep, so I'm going to save that for a little bit later. I'll do a full video just on the Deribit's BTC options system. All right, guys, that about does it for Deribit, a great new competitor to BitMEX. If this video helped you in any way to get started with the system, it would really help us and you if you use the link in the description to open your account account, remember you'll save 10% on all your fees for 6 months, and it'll really give you a kickstart to your account and help you save those fees because they really do add up. So if this video helped you, use the link in the description. We really appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe for more, and good luck with your trading, guys.